Let's try to solve this question. In this question has been asked that an organic compound on analysis gave hydrogen is equal to 6.48 percentage and oxygen is equal to 51.42 percentage. So determine its empirical formula if the compound contains 12 atoms of carbon. Okay, so there's a little bit of trick over here. So it says that organic compound on analysis gave this and this. Okay, so percentage composition of the hydrogen and percentage composition of oxygen, but it is mentioning also the third element over here. So 100 minus percentage composition of hydrogen plus percentage composition of oxygen would be equal to the percentage composition of the carbon. Okay, and now it says the determine its empirical formula if the compound contains 12 atoms of carbon. Okay, now this is important, so this I'll explain you at the end of this question, end of the solution, that what is this means. Okay, so let's start solving. So anyway, as it's whenever it comes to the calculation of empirical formula or molecular formula, we start with the making a table. So let's make the table. First part is element, second is percentage composition, third is atomic weight, fourth is relative number of atoms, and last is the simplest or simple ratio. Okay, okay, simplest or simple ratio. Okay, this has to be in the whole number. If it is not in the whole number, then we'll make it in the whole number. Okay, now the first element we're gonna go with, it is the oxygen, second hydrogen, and we know the carbon is also present. Okay, we know the carbon is also present because it is given over here. Okay, now let's see what is the percentage composition of oxygen. It is given 51.42%. What about the hydrogen? It's given 6.48%. And when you subtract 51.42 and 6.48 from the 100, you get the answer is equals to 42.1. okay, so percentage composition of carbon is 42.1. atomic weight of the oxygen, hydrogen and carbon are 16, 1 and 12 respectively. Okay, now we have to calculate the relative number of atoms. How do we calculate the relative number of atoms? By dividing percentage composition with the atomic weight. So when I divide 51.42 by 16, I get the answer is equals to 3.213. When I divide 6.48 by 1, I definitely get the 6.48. And when I divide 42.1 by 12, I get the answer is equals to 3.508. Okay, so when you once you get the relative number of atoms, you select the one with the smallest number, which is over here 3.213. okay, 3.123. so we're gonna divide all the relative number of atoms by 3.213. okay, so when you divide 3.213 by 3.213, you get the answer is equal to 1. When you divide 6.48 by 3.213, you get the answer is equals to 2.016, which is roughly equal to 2. okay, and when you divide 3.508 by 3.213, you get the answer is equal to 1.091, which is roughly equal to 1 again. Okay, so what is the simplest whole number ratio? When you express C, oxygen is to hydrogen is to carbon, the simplest whole number ratio is 1:2:1. okay, that means our empirical formula is equals to OH2C. okay, or you can write down it as a CH2O. okay, you can write down it as a CH2O. okay, perfect. Now it comes the main part. Now we calculate the empirical formula, and in this question also it was said that determine the empirical formula. But if the compound contains 12 atoms of carbon, okay, so if it contains one atom of carbon, then our empirical formula becomes CH2O. Then they are asking, and what if has 12 atoms of carbon? So if one carbon we have one carbon, then the formula is CH2O. Then if we need the 12 carbon, we have to multiply the empirical formula by 12. which seems like a calculating a molecular formula, definitely, because the molecular formula has the formula is equal to n into empirical formula. Okay, so where over here we are multiplying the empirical formula by 12 and then we'll get the molecular formula. So this molecular formula is equal to the empirical formula over here. So this question is little bit tricky. Students just stop over here, and this is that's the empirical formula. But if you read this question carefully, it is clearly mentioning that determine its empirical formula if the compound contains 12 atoms of carbon. So in this type of question, you don't have to do a lot of R&D. What you have to do, you just have to multiply whatever number given over here to the empirical formula. So if the compound contains 6 atoms of carbon, then you simply multiply empirical formula by 6. Okay, as it is mentioning over here 12, we're gonna multiply the empirical formula by 12 and we'll get our suitable answer. Okay, so it is gonna be C12 H12 to the 24 O12. Okay, so the answer which we are looking for, okay, and which was asked in this question is C12 H22 O12. Okay, I hope you understood this question, but if you have any doubt regarding this question or any other question in general, you can comment your doubt in the comment section and we will solve your doubt by making a dedicated video towards your doubt. So still, if you have any doubt, you can comment your doubt into the comment section.